further hatred and divisiveness. So there were calls made from the mosque to attack an Ahmadiyya mosque because there was quote-unquote blasphemous material found there, which is just books of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. And this was a result of that announcement from the pulpit. So how true that mosques would be used for divisiveness and that Muslims would indulge in such behavior was exactly foretold by Prophet Muhammad. And then he said, at this time of dissension in Islam, there would appear a group of young people who would be immature in thought and foolish. Young people, think about this. Young people, foolish, immature. They would speak beautiful words of the Quran, but commit the most heinous of deeds. They would engage in so much prayer and fasting that the worship of the Muslims would appear insignificant in comparison. See how he distinguishes these people from Muslims. These people who would come in the name of Islam in the latter days would pray so much, would fast so much, would recite the Quran so much, but they would commit the most heinous of deeds. And he said they would say so much prayer and fasting that the worship of the Muslims would appear insignificant. So there's these people and they're the Muslims. They would call people to the Quran, but they would have nothing to do with it. The Quran would not go beyond their throats, which means they would not understand the essence of Islam and the Quran. They would just regurgitate it and use it for their political agenda. They would be the worst of the creation. He called them the worst of the creation. Now when you read this, what group comes to mind? ISIS. Correct. ISIS was foretold by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Here you go. As if this wasn't clear enough. He said, this is in another tradition of Islam. Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said that these people, these worst of the creation, these people will have long hair and they will bear black flags. And as if this wasn't clear enough, he said, their hearts will be hard as iron and they will be the companions of a state. The words he used in Arabic were ashabul dawla, companions of a state. What does ISIS call themselves? Islamic State. They were companions of a state. Ashabul Dawla. The Arabic word for ISIS is Ad-Dawlatul Islamiyya bil Iraq wa Sham. Dawla. Ashabul Dawla, the companions of a state. And then this tradition further mentions that they will break their covenants. They will not be truthful people. And they will have their names that mention their cities. Now remember, the tradition at the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was names where names would mention someone's lineage, their fathers, their grandfathers. So for example, Prophet Muhammad's name was Muhammad ibn Abdullah. That means Muhammad, son of Abdullah. The tradition was not to name, to use your names that mentioned cities. However, he said about these people that they would have their names that mention their cities. Who comes to mind? Who's the Caliph of ISIS? Anyone? Anyone from the non-Muslims here? Who's the Caliph of ISIS? Come on, you don't watch Fox News? Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, right? Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is the so-called Caliph of ISIS. Al-Baghdadi, he's from Baghdad, which is the capital of Iraq. These people, and he's not the only one. You have many Al-Amrikis and Al-Siriyais and whatever. There are many names they have that mention the names of their cities. This was also foretold by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And then he was very furious when he was mentioning these people, and he painfully described these evildoers and admonished Muslims to beware of their evil and to fight them. His words, whoever fights these people is better to Allah than them. So he admonished Muslims to root these people out. He clearly foretold these people in such clear terms, and he distinguished them from Muslims, and he said Muslims should fight them and root them out. So the point here is, whenever ISIS kills in the name of Islam, and the media shows you those horrific and horrendous pictures, do not confuse those people with Islam or with the message of Islam. Those people are a perversion of Islam. They're not Islam at all. And how do we counter this extremism? As Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was foretelling this age, this gloomy picture of this age where extremism and divisiveness would be rife within the Muslim community, within the Muslim world, he also gave a message of hope. And he said there would be a reformer, there would be a Messiah, a Mahdi, who would come and who would fight this ideology with a better narrative and a better ideology. So he said, I give you glad tidings of a Mahdi. Mahdi means the guided one. It's the name of the reformer that Muslims await, the Messiah, who will be raised in my community, in my ummah, at a time of discretion and distress of people. He will fill the earth with equity and justice, as it is filled with oppression and violence. And then he said, even if faith ascends to the heavens, a man of Persian descent will bring it back to earth. We believe that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is that man. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community pledges allegiance to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as the promised Messiah who was foretold by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to fight this rise of extremism in this age. As you've already been told, in 1889, he started this community, the movement, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, which has now spread to 207 countries in the world. We're the single largest organized Muslim community in the world. We're united under one leader, who's called the Khalifa, and currently he resides in London. His name is Mirza Masroor Ahmad. We are in the tens of millions. We have translated the Holy Quran into more than 70 languages, and we are waging a jihad against ISIS, which is the topic of my talk. How are we waging our jihad? As you've already been told, jihad is a word which means struggle, not fighting. Fighting is qital. So our fight, we believe that this fight against religious extremism is an ideological fight. It's an ideological battle. And we are fighting this ideological battle both within the Muslim world and outside. And so this is one piece that I would like you to read and see what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is doing and how we are countering the narrative of religious extremists. Like I said, briefly, we do not believe in apostasy laws. We do not believe in blasphemy laws. We do not believe in violent jihad. We believe in being kind and compassionate to other people. We believe in human service. As already pointed out, we are running numerous humanitarian projects throughout the world. Just in the United States, we have donated more than 30,000 blood bags in commemoration of the victims of 9/11, and also in commemoration of the Boston Marathon bombings. So we believe in human service. We believe in love. Our motto is love for all and hatred for none. And we believe that this ideology, this message, which is the fastest growing message within the Muslim world, this Ahmadiyya Muslim community's message of peace and love, which is true Islam as we understand it, is going to win over this extremism that is rife in the Muslim world. We don't believe just bombs and tanks are enough to win this battle. We believe that this is a battle that has to be fought ideologically, and we are the front runners in this war. And with that, I thank you all for coming here and listening to me. I'll be happy to take your questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kashif, for that very thought-provoking talk. I wanted to thank both of the speakers, Dr. Rashid Khalid and Dr. Kashif Chaudhry, for their talks to you today. I think on the note that Dr. Chaudhry left his last talk on was one of questions, and I wanted to open the floor up to anyone who might have had some questions for them that they held back on, and you can direct it to the speakers at the front.
I had a question. I know you mentioned the three distinct communities, and if did I catch correctly there may be some distinction in terms of blasphemy, apostasy, and if you could just for us elaborate a little bit more on the distinctions and how those present some difficulties with what you're proposing.
Sure. So as I made clear, you want to come there?
Please.
Yeah. So as I made clear, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community does not believe in apostasy laws and blasphemy laws. These laws are un-Islamic. There's nothing in the Quran that suggests anything about apostasy laws and blasphemy laws. The Quran says, let him who will believe, believe, and let him who will disbelieve, disbelieve. And there's no compulsion in matters of religion. So these apostasy laws are not Islamic at all. If anything, they are counter to the clear teachings of the Holy Quran. It's over the course of the last 1400 years, as Islam started from Prophet Muhammad and to this age, there's been a lot of things that have crept into Muslim teaching, so to say. Which is why the promised Messiah, when he started this community in 1889, set out to reform Islam and take it back to its original values and teachings. So these things that had crept into Islam, like apostasy laws and blasphemy laws, he countered them with argument and said there was nothing like this in the Quran. The Sunnis and the Shia, the clergy, do believe in these laws. Like you can see that Iran, which is a Shia majority country, has some form of apostasy laws and blasphemy laws, and so does Saudi Arabia, which is a Sunni majority country. But as I said, there's nothing in the Quran that supports this view. If anything, the Quran rebuts these laws. There's nothing to support this cruel idea of implementing such laws in any country.
Yes, please.
The first speaker, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Rashid, you can just say Rashid, yeah.
Rashid.
That's
yes.
what my students call me, so I let you call me Rashid, yeah.
Yes,